Hello, I'm Áron, this is the Behind the Books, and here with me is Radu Vancu, a poet, writer and literary scholar from Romania, whose book Kaddis for Miklós Radnóti was published this year in Hungarian translation of Ferenc André, edited by the publishing house Prey. Hello, welcome.
Hello, it's so nice to be here. Thank you for discussing with me about literature.
In the book there are poems and mini essays. In one such essay you write how you come across Radnóti's last poems, the so-called Bori notebook. How well known is Radnóti in Romanian-speaking circles, and how available are his poems in translation?
Unfortunately, there is not a large translation from Radnóti's work into Romanian. I came across his work, maybe 10 poems or so, in a larger anthology of Hungarian literature, published in the 1980s in Romania. And from then onwards to today, no other translation has been made. So I read him in English mainly, in English anthologies, also in his English translations. And I think he is one of the essential poets of the 20th century, not only in Hungary but worldwide, because I think his voice is one of the essential human voices, showing that beauty speaks against evil and that humans can be killed but they cannot be destroyed. Their voice remains to witness against barbarity.
That's why you written a Kaddis.
Exactly. I was writing the book. I had poems from it. I had small essays, as you say, but I did not have the idea of the book. I did not have Radnóti as the central figure in the book. When I saw the news about the atrocities committed in Ukraine by the Russian army, the mass graves there, and immediately the mass grave where Radnóti was buried in Abda near Győr came into my mind, and I said, okay, now it's another historical time in which Radnóti's voice can return from the grave to witness against barbarity and to show that it is time to stop the mutual destruction of humans and to try to show that in this world so tormented, so ugly, so barbaric, beauty still exists, and we have to find it in order to remain human.
And in the book you continue to write Radnóti's poems as if evoking his spirit. Mm-hmm. How did you prepare for this creative process, and what emotional inspirations have you beyond the poems?
Well, obviously I read once again Radnóti's work as much as I could find it. Not only his work, I mean historical documents regarding him, his witness documents showing how he lived, how he died. I was also inspired by his wife, by Fanny Gyarmati. I think, well, I admire and I love Radnóti's poetry, but I think the essential figure in the poem is Fanny, because without her love, his poetry would have rotten in the grave with his body. Without her love, poetry would not have found the force to return from the grave, to speak to us, to show that human beings cannot be destroyed. So it was Fanny and her extraordinary life. She lived until she was 102 years old. She died in 2014. I had some friends who helped me translating from her diary to me, and so she was one of the main inspirations also, besides Radnóti. So actually I used their love, their connection, their life stories in order to find inspiration for this book, which is actually a pro-human and anti-barbaric document, trying to prove that beauty exists and salvation is possible.
And in his only work of prose, The Month of the Twins, Radnóti passionately argues for the importance of poetic form. Do Romanian translations of Radnóti favor fidelity to form or fidelity to content, like in the English translations? And what forms did you use in the poems in this volume?
As I told you before, unfortunately there are no ample translations of Radnóti in Romanian, so this essential technical problem is not dealt with. I mean, it's there is interest in Radnóti now after my book was published. Some Hungarian writers who also write in Romanian started translating him into Romanian. Peter Demeni, for example. Hopefully this will continue. I hope that now there is an interest in Radnóti in Romania after the publication of Kaddis. So hopefully this will happen. In what regards my book, I preferred content over form in this case, because I needed this conversation starting in the mass grave between dead people who observe the living and comment the living, and I thought, well, maybe fixed form would not be so important among the dead when they judge the living. They prefer maybe a lively conversation closer to everyday speech, so I did not use this fixed form. But the Hungarian translator, who is also a formidable poet, Andre Ferenc, when he translated into Hungarian and he saw some intertexts I have with Radnóti, he reinserted in Hungarian the original Hungarian Radnóti metric, prosody, rhythm, and so on. I'm very grateful to Andre Ferenc for doing this impressive work, and I'm only half joking when I say that probably the Hungarian version is better than the Romanian one, because it also catches some of Radnóti's original rhythm, and I'm so happy and grateful for that.
And only one small detail. Instead of the word "and", you use the symbol, the English symbol "and". Why is it so necessary?
It's something I do in most of my books of poetry, so it's a personal signature. I prefer it for many reasons. One of them, I like it graphically, how it looks on the page. Also, by eliminating the "and", the repetition of "and" is a conjunction which happens many times. When you eliminate it, the line flows quicker. I mean, you read it quicker, you know, and I like that. And I also am fond of the typographic tradition. I mean, "and" seems to us like a very modern sign, but actually it was used many centuries before in typographic tradition. So it's also a reverence to tradition in the same time.
Thank you for answering my questions and have a nice stay in Budapest.
Thank you for asking me, and I love Budapest, so I will really enjoy it.
And stay with us for more content. Ciao.